SMMEs. Unite as One has launched an entrepreneurship program to groom young people to become entrepreneurs. They have selected 200 unemployed young people from predominantly Johannesburg townships. To tell us more on this, we're joined in the studio by President of Unite as One and Kleynhans and Francinah Makopo, a student at Unite as One. Ladies, thank you so very much for joining us here on SA Today and SABC News.
Thank you, Flo, for having us.
Well, as a start, how does this sort of incubation program, as it's been called, work? And talk to us about your sort of selection criteria. I understand that you're based in the Johannesburg area and you're selecting young people from predominantly impoverished backgrounds, I suppose. Talk to us about that selection criteria.
So, Flo, basically, when we started with the initiative about 12 months ago, I started the program, and being an entrepreneur myself, I realized that there's one way of resolving what we're sitting with right now. Through entrepreneurship and self-employment, I truly believe that with a focus on that, we can resolve the unemployment in this country. And we started developing a program through 12 months, and I was specific about the 12 months. And we looked and I brought in a couple of professionals and professors, and we established a entrepreneurship program for 3 months, and then a remainder period for ICT. And I decided to go specifically in for IR4, Fourth Industrial Revolution. Yeah. And we realized that there's a great opportunity specifically in the townships. I moved around and decided to focus more on the northwestern area, and I started looking at areas like, if I'm allowed to say, Tembisa, Diepsloot, Cosmos City, Zandspruit, and specifically Soweto. Yeah. And also then we realized there was some more interest from the surrounding areas. So we basically did quite a bit of marketing, and after about 840 applications, we interviewed 380 people, and we were looking specifically for people that had an appetite or a desire to own their own business. And I realized that through quite an intense program, we'll be able to achieve that. So we're now about 4 months into the program, and we are so surprised. We have about 25 degrees. We have multiple diplomas in our program. Nice. And these are people that is unemployed and looking for a great opportunity. And when we looked at the program, we realized, I think we've got something here.
Now Francinah, you're a student and you're with Unite as One. I want to just ask you, what has this program really meant for you, and really, what are you doing in this program? And talk to us also about your background.
Okay. Firstly, I'll say that on my graduation day, I remember I was very stressed on the 12th of April. That's when I received a call from Unite as One that come and sign the contract. I was so stressed based on the unemployment issue of this country, and I knew that I do have an entrepreneurial spirit in me, but I just need a push ahead. So I'm also part of the 200 students in the Unite as One learnership, whereby we benefit the spiritual growth, the psychological growth, the economic growth, and actually being in this technology world. Yeah. So I just want to emphasize on the economic growth, that when we went to Unite as One, our motive was to be the excelling employee in the future. But then it's just the other way around, because the moment you go with the everyday activities in Unite as One, you realize that you don't want to be an excellent employee, but you want to be an exceptional employer in the future. Right. Because that's what this program is about. So the program has laid a very best quality foundation for us entrepreneurs, and it has provoked in me an entrepreneurial spirit so that I can also help others in future. And emphasizing on the spiritual growth at Unite as One, in the morning we have a worship session, a prayer session, and we also share the word. Seeing that like most of people in this generation, they're suffering like at home and also in their personal perspective. So every day when we worship, you come to realize that indeed God is the Prince of Peace. He's the wonderful counselor, the greatest comforter, the everlasting love, and also abundant and forgiving in love. Then that is how we shape our day in Unite as One. So we also being trained that everything is possible through God. And going on the IT world, we are the online generation. We're the generation of technology. So this learnership is about enriching, empowering, aspiring us into the world of technology.
I want to carry on that conversation. You know, Anne just spoke about the fourth industrial revolution, and you young people aren't scared of technology, but us old people, I mean, that scares me to think, you know, there could be a robot presenting the news one day. I mean, how have you incorporated what you ultimately want to get into as an employer, and you should share with us, you know, what you're planning to get into. How do you incorporate that and the knowledge that there is this revolution, there is the fourth industrial revolution? And I think a lot of people that aren't well versed on the issue have spoken about how this is a scary thing and how, you know, we're not going to have jobs and so forth. How do you anticipate the future and that technology, and how will you bring it into what you ultimately want to do?
Okay, if you look at this program, you can see that we need a faster productivity and a quicker outcome. So we are in the 20 groups now, which makes 10 groups in the learnership because we are 200. So we are trying to come up with the operating machines that are going to bring faster productivity and also bring a quicker outcome in the future, seeing that most of the companies won't exist in physical, that you can reference a customer that the branch is somewhere, but then most companies going to be operating online. So we are trying to identify a problem, and in the meantime also bringing a solution to that particular problem. Yes. So,
you know, and I'd like to ask you, you know, you talk about the fact that you selected young entrepreneurs from your deep slot areas, from Soweto, from Tembisa and all of that. But I want to talk to your sort of the humanitarian you. What made you think, okay, look, we have an unemployment problem? And what made you decide to sort of step aside from what you were obviously doing on your own as an entrepreneur and think, I have to contribute more to my society and at large, you know, my country. What spoke to you? What sort of altered you and made you decide that you need to go this route?
So thank you. Yes. First of all, it's been a while. I think for the past 2 decades, I've been very passionate about development, youth development, being somebody that's learned through my own experience.
Yeah.
And I basically reached a point where I realized, but if I've made this far, I can duplicate what I know into young entrepreneurs. And first of all, working in the communities made me realize that they need my help and they need our help. And I started forming other strengths of partnerships and said, I think we can resolve this through entrepreneurship and self-employment. So one of the passions I've always had, looking at the youth, they are our next generation, and I had a vision that we can create the future leaders. If we look at not only our economy, if we look at our political realms, we desperately need it for leaders. And so my aim is to develop leaders for our businesses, leaders also for the future.
And how do you groom the mind? I mean, I know, you know, when I was in law school, all I was ever taught really there was, you know, you're going to graduate and you're going to knock on some law firm door and, you know, you're going to get a job. How do you change that employment seeking to wanting to be an entrepreneur? And I suppose many people grow up with that entrepreneurship sort of spirit, but a lot of people come from backgrounds where you know you're going to work and that's what you're going to do for the rest of your life.
So I think clearly it showed that we had to work. For the first 3 months, that's what we focused on, is basically to shift that and make them believe in themselves, show them how to. That was very important. Before we even started with the education system, we just worked with the person itself, instilled maybe a hope of the future. We faced a lot of depression of the first 200 when we started. Also trust. We had to develop trust. So I think the first 2 weeks I basically started by saying, let's bond, and it was truly that. Bond. We had little survival camps, get to know each other, and then from there we started developing the entrepreneurship, and we literally went through every aspect of entrepreneurship. Then we moved into our first ICT sectors, and by the time 3 months, we also do a feeding scheme. So it's a safe safe environment for them. It's home for them. So by the time they come to the office in the morning, they feel safe. They know there's food waiting for them. They know there's a family waiting for them. But in the process, we develop and we transform, and then start empowering. And they also, at the same time, are broken up into a company. Yeah. So we don't employ any cleaners. We don't employ any caterers. These people are self-sustainable. They deal with every aspect from first aid to food to purchasing of products, price requisitions, and they're doing very well in that.
Francinah, just in closing, I know we have to wrap up the interview, and I sound a bit like an interviewer here, but what do you see yourself? Where do you see yourself, and what are your sort of future plans? If you kind of have to sit and imagine where you'll be in 10 years, let's say, from now, or what do you see for yourself?
Being in this program has motivated me to also form such programs again for entrepreneurial and marketing, because now seeing that in this fourth industrial revolution, it's about like self-employment. It's no longer taking a CV hand to hand or sending a CV somewhere, but it's about you developing yourself. So I'm also thinking of doing some learnership programs on marketing, also on entrepreneurship and advertising and promotion for the future generation, because being at school alone is not enough, because you are taught on how to send a CV, you are taught on how to go and ask for employment, but then you don't know how when you go to the outside world. So I also want to form such learnerships where I'm going to groom people on marketing their product, advertising and promoting their products.
All right, thank you so very much. I know my director's in my ear telling me to wrap up, but quickly, if people want to enroll for the program or catch the next one, how do they get hold of you? How do they find you? Where are you?
So first of all, we have a website currently for enrollment. It's we currently have 200 students, so we're planning for next year another 200. We have formed partnership with MICT Theatre, and the whole aim is to look at the old traditional education system. I'm working very closely with them and saying that is there no other way, if we start looking at the education system and we change and restructure it slightly, whereby we attach that with the needs of the market, we are able then to produce a much better result, and the employment or the success of the learner can then continue in employment. So the people that is interested in something like that can definitely contact us on www.uniteas1.co.za, and we will soon open up our new applications for next year, or they can just come and visit us. And any other partnerships that would like to join us or sponsorships are most welcome to contact me. My name is Kleynhans, and all the information is on the website.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much for coming through. So uniteas1.co.za if you are interested. And Kleynhans and Francinah Makopo, thank you so very much. I wish you all the best in your future, and I can see it's a bright one. Thank you so very much for joining us on SABC. All right, let's take a